Hello and welcome back to Sunk Costs from IT to GRP. It is a lovely Saturday afternoon at the end of January. The sun is getting higher in the sky. Spring is on its way but not here yet, but it's a lovely day. So I'm now 2 weeks into my early retirement, just over. And what have I learnt so far? I think a couple of obvious things is, first is a complete cliche in that since I've been retired, I've never been so busy. Yes, it's a tiresome cliche, but the 2 weeks have just gone in an instant with family stuff, social stuff, travelling about, going out places to the beach, up to Holcombe, to Yarmouth, to Beccles, to Bungay, all over Norfolk. Lots of me time of just reading when it's raining. I'm just sat inside reading, which is absolute joy. My head is clearer now and I can read and absorb so much that I couldn't when I was working. So the second thing is almost deafeningly loud, is the peace, the silence of the chatter in the back of the head, the work chat, sort of so much going on, and that's just gone quiet. And I think I said a few weeks ago, I'm sort of stepping out of the tin can into space, and of course in space no one can hear you scream. Not that I feel like screaming, but it is just wonderful having that peacefulness, and the sort of waking up and remembering that I'm retired is starting to fade now. It's starting to become, I know I'm retired. I don't need to remind myself every morning. So yes, the calmness, the peacefulness, the instantaneous going of that constant narrative in their head is absolutely wonderful. So they're the two obvious things, and starting to find a lot more joy in life again, the joy of reading, the joy of being outside. You know, it's the middle of winter, we don't get a lot of sunshine, don't get a lot of light, and of course I'm out in the day now instead of cooped up in the office, which is absolutely wonderful. So today, I think I'm probably going to come down here a couple of times this week. So I'm going to do some filming today, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. But I'll probably come back later in the week and do some more work and some more filming. I think the priority I want to do today is where I started trying to work out what lay beneath the boards in the toilet. I know there's a tank down there. I removed some of the water and absolutely exhausted myself carrying it backwards and forwards. But what I want to do is to drill some holes around that large hole, just so I can start to peer down. I'm worried that if I force things, if I drill things, if I lever things, how close is the tank, which I assume is plastic. It sounds kind of plasticky. How close is that to the timbers? Because if it's right up flush and I sort of start drilling through or levering or putting crowbars in and so forth, I'll damage that tank. It should be lower down, but I just want to take some sort of exploratory holes around that large piece to have a look, see what I can see, and if I can then do more with a jigsaw and cut some out with a jigsaw, then all good. So that's what I really want to do this week, and I may well do some other stuff. I may take the boat out. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do today. The obvious thing is that bit of piking this afternoon, another joy. So that's enough chat for the moment. I'm going to do a little bit more fishing, and then I'm going to start doing those drilling, and then depending on how time goes, I might do some other work. Right, let's get on. This is where I'm going to be working next. You can see that I've put that bit on the drill ready, and I'm going to start drilling some holes. Starting off quite a way away from that main hole, and then working closer towards it. And it might be a bit tricky to film. I'll give it a go, and let's see how I get on. So I'm got the film going. Don't know how much of this you're going to be able to see. It's not going to be particularly interesting, I know, but let's see. Let's have a go. Actually, if I cover up that hole to me, hate spiders, bastard. See the little critter. Well, that's entertaining for my viewer. Let's set that up again and have another go. Whoop. Where'd he go? Oh, he's hidden around the back. Okay, he's all right for the minute. Aha. Yeah, the drill bit is through, and I'm tapping into space. That's good. There you go. Right, so it looks like let me show you. There's something, a ridge of some sort, but the main thing is there seems to be space there. I think I could probably take a jigsaw around some of that. Let's give that a go. Go out to here. Right. Actually, I'm very mindful that's a psychotic attack spider. It's very common in Britain. Let's get him outside. And there you can see, I think. There. Hey, look. Huge! Fills your whole screen. Well, does in my mind anyway. Where are we at then? Is that through? Let's see if this jigsaw will cut that length, that depth. do this without losing the piece of wood. And a piece of, oh, lost it. So there's a massive void there. You can't see anything, it's pitch black. There is. Let's move. That's moving. There's. Yeah, I'm not. That doesn't make any sense. They wouldn't have a. Surely they wouldn't just have an open-topped grey tank. That's weird. But about a foot down there is it's just water, or a bad liquid of sorts anyway. How curious. Well, unless I've cut the lid. Is that the lid? That doesn't make any sense. That does not make any sense. That's the top. So that, if you can see, there's two pieces. That tells me that I've cut into the tank and that this formica is laying flat on top of it. I hate to think. I need a second opinion. I think a second opinion's on his way to have a look. But if that wouldn't be glued, surely. Don't tell me I've gone and destroyed the. That must be the lid of the tank, right up on with this resting on top of it. I don't know. I really don't know. It's now a couple of days later and I'm back at the boat. Didn't get a lot more done at the weekend. I've had some time to reflect. Now, ultimately, we will be wanting to put a dry compost toilet in here, and so we won't need the dirty water tank at all. So the plan's going to be that I will put a floor in this hole here. Now that's so I can put the portaloo back in place, so we've got a toilet of sorts, and then over the next few months I will gradually empty out the dirty water tank until it's a state where the boat's out of the water, and I can start sort of looking at that, removing that tank, possibly from the inside or possibly from the deck side. I'm not sure, it depends on the size, but I think if I do a few buckets a visit, I'll be able to empty that out over time. So what I need to do now, I've got a piece of cardboard with me, and what I'm going to do is measure up that. Now the theory is the previous owner didn't screw a sort of a shelf against that red face of timber, which possibly means the dirty water tank is right up against it. So I don't want to drill into it either, so I'm going to have to use a kind of a leg or something right down to put it into the base there. So I'm going to measure up now, and then, as I say, gradually over time empty out bucket by bucket that grey tank. I've got so many half finished projects on the go at the moment. I need to get the water pump fitted. I need to resolve the primary switch, which is on reflection in the wrong place. I've got too long a piece of cable between the battery and the starter motor, so I need to resolve that. I need to sort out the ceiling electrics, because this is sagging more and more every week, so I think I need to get that done and out of the way so I can at least fix the ceiling back up. And I've also got to put a shelf underneath this top cover so that's safe to walk on. So I've got about 4 or 5 projects half started, you know, like the white pipes underneath the floor there. They're not fixed, and I need to fix them so that they're properly held firm. So lots of half started projects. I need to sort of tick them off one by one. But the first thing I want to attack is just sort out a piece of cardboard, measure it up so I can take home and cut a piece of ply ready to fit in there. So that's the plan of action today. So that's cut. Slight miscalculation on that end, which is why I'm doing it in cardboard. I can always add 6mm to that edge. Cut a piece of ply to go on there, and I'll need a support here, and I'll need to give it a leg to stand on and wedge along where that stringer is, and move that bit of blue pipe work. So that looks all pretty good for me to take that away. So that's one job done. Let's have a look at the pipe under there next. What we had last time is the pump connected up the in, but I need to connect the outer to the bit of white pipe. Now I've got 2 options. This clear, let me see if I can remove this out for the moment. Let me remove this and then remove this. And what I need is this pipe. I think will fit in there with a little bit of persuasion, and I need something to convert that 15mm white pipe. Now I've got this piece of green spare. Actually, I need a piece of white. Now that green pipe is far too big. That's fine. So I could possibly take this clear pipe home, heat it maybe. Big ask. I've got another piece of plastic pipe. They're the only two. The only other one is to use this piece of blue Again, that I think is the same gauge as that, and that looks to be some strengthening into it. So what I will do at home is put a heat gun on that and see whether or not I can coax that into there. If not, I'll need to get an adapter. Oh well, I'll take this home, see what I can find. I thought I'd just cut a bit more out of here to have a better view of what lies beneath. So I took a couple more goes, a couple more buckets, and I was struggling. I can't believe it's empty already. Need something just to stick down there. Stick down. Interesting. So I can't believe suddenly I'm struggling to see that I'm struggling to remove the water. So the tank is on a slope, so it goes, so the tank is right up against this face and it goes around the corner. Oh, and it's quite deep. Yeah, it goes around this corner and it's deeper in that corner, so there is a way to go. Can't see there, but so for now I could layer a piece of ply on top. I don't think you see it's, you know, a couple of 3 inches at this face where it's deepest. Doesn't feel too sludgy, and yes, possibly 4 inches of bad water, dirty water at this edge, right down low. But I just kind of wonder if it wasn't an actual tank. Maybe it was just made out of fiberglass or something and made to measure, and it's not an actual tank as you'd expect to remove a plastic water tank. It's a case of pacing myself because having to carry buckets, it's not far, but it's heavy, and last time I was doing it I did too many runs and tired myself out, so I'm just little and often working in there. So I've measured the piece that's going to go in. Problem with working on the boat where it is I've got to carry my tools backwards and forwards every time I come out, and every time I come out I forget a specific tool. Now I was thinking of having go and fitting these clips, but I'd have to go underneath the beam, and I've got a stubby Phillips which might be able to do the job. If not, I'm going to have to drill down through to get a pilot hole, and then I've got a sort of a 90-degree Phillips driver that I could then use, having got a pilot hole in there. I can't do that now, so I think there's nothing else for it. I keep putting it off. Let's have a look at that ceiling next. What I did, I bought a couple of these kind of lights that are similar to the original, same size and shape. I was kind of disappointed with the flimsy nature. Now I've got one up here, you can see, and actually it doesn't look too bad at all. And I've got two, so I'm going to do another one up there. I'm not doing that today because I got the ceiling down at the aft. Now I bought, by contrast, a couple of these dinky little LED ones. Now obviously a lot lower voltage and a lot thinner wire gauge, and you can get, it comes with these different diffusers on them, which is rather jolly, so I can pick how harsh or subdued I want the lighting. Let's have a look and see how that goes. So what I've been doing is feeding this cable through. Now all these screws just break, and I can show you what we get. Just lots and lots of broken screws, so that's no good. So I've had to drill fresh holes adjacent to the old holes. It's just tatty, but there's no other way of doing it. Ultimately the ceiling will have to be replaced, but that is for another day. I'm not starting another job. I've also fed the starboard rear cable through, and I've got them here, and what I'm doing next is feeding them through the joists. I need to feed them all the way through to the electric panel, and you can just see a couple of old wires which go from the port lights, I believe, port interior lights, and I need to terminate here. So all I'm going to be doing now is, just because I haven't filmed a great deal, because it is difficult filming and working, and filming and working, it is a pain. So I've sort of pre-drilled some of the holes. I'm just gonna, for the sake of filming something, I want to feed through these two wires or cables through the holes. There's a slight worry that, you don't really want to, these are supporting joists for the ceiling or the roof. You don't want to weaken it particularly. But there's no other way of getting them all the way through. So the minimal hole possible is quite a substantial oak, so it shouldn't weaken them much at all. There's so much structural integrity in that ceiling with all the ply and everything else that there's a lot of strength there. That I can use, and it's just these two pairs to feed through this part of the ceiling. I've done half of it here. I just need to secure that up, and that will stop this constant sagging, and I can cut this. Actually, I'm really pleased. I got this starboard side wire through without having to bring too much of that starboard ceiling down. So what I'm going to do off camera, because I'm fast running out of light, is I wanted to secure this up to stop that constant sag and and then next visit I can feed this through the final bit, put those lights on and see about terminating. So I'm quite happy with how the day's gone. I'm happy I've seen more of that waste tank, and that I've done the majority of the water carrying back and forth, and there's not too much horrible sludge in the bottom, and still no smell. So I don't know how long that's been in there. I can go home and make a platform for the portaloo and get that in, so that's it, usable, out of the way. Happy I've got some bits to take back for the plumbing. Need to get some bits so I can look at fitting these, and I'm pleased that I've got some of that cable part of the way through. So still very bitty, but progress all the same. And to wrap up, we are now at, I have now hit 3 weeks of retirement. Every day has been busy, doing. The most amazing thing is that because it was one particular rainy day, I sat down and went through all of the money, all of the bills, direct debit, standing orders, everything, and reviewed each in turn. And just having that headspace, thinking space, to sit down and review the broadband, the gas, the electric, the phone, mobile phones, the life assurances, these sorts of things, and changing them all, transferring them all, saved over £1,000 just for 4 hours effort. And I think when you're working full time, and time is so precious, and weekend time is so precious, when I was calculating our costs of how much can we afford to retire, or can I afford to retire, can my wife reduce her hours, we've just saved another £1,000 a year. And every time we do this, it helps closing that gap between what I was earning and tax. It's just horrific, 60% tax plus, with all the national insurance and everything. Really are closing the gap. It's scary. I may still have to get a part-time job at some point, but it won't be in IT, I doubt. And it will be something where I move about, meeting people, talking to people, maybe even outside. I don't know. We shall see. Pension hasn't come through yet. I'm not 100% what it's going to be. I know what I think it's going to be. But the proof will be when the first pension payment lands. That'll answer a lot of questions. So yeah, things are all pretty good at the moment. And of course the days are getting longer. So that's enough rambling now. Remember to be kind to each other and just accept we are far from perfect. And see you next week. Bye.